welcome back to our channel. Today I'm doing a fun video with my littlest little. We're doing his 5-month update. Oh, belly. Can you say hi? Can you say hi? Are you looking into my teeth? What is happening? Anyways, you guys on Instagram have been asking for an update on the babies, and so I thought maybe I would do an individual video with each one of them. If he's looking out the window, the big kids are like literally standing right there. They're like, let us in, Mom. But I thought I'd do a video with each of them over the next few weeks. Oakley turned 5 months old yesterday. He's getting so big. I feel like 5 months is a big turning point of, like, at least for my kids. He has 2 teeth. Remy had 2 teeth at this point. Ellie, I think, was at least getting 2. I think she got 4 in at once at the beginning. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. I know some kids like do not teeth for a long time, and I don't know what's better, like them being littler and not knowing as much what's going on, or if they were older and more aware of things. But Oakley also had a cold on top of getting 2 teeth. And so it was a really, really bad last week. That has like reset his napping and his sleeping. So yay. I don't think anybody could be as bad as Remy is with sleeping, or was with sleeping. Now he sleeps great. But anyway, so I just kind of wanted to go over like his life for the past 5 months. So if you watched my labor and delivery story, then you know that Oakley spent 5 days in the NICU for some breathing problems. And so once we got home and we worked through all of that, we went to his first pediatrician appointment. And we had been going to our normal pediatrician. And so we, for whatever reason, when we were scheduling his first appointment, I was like, let's just go to, it's like the same umbrella practice, but a place that's closer. I don't know why, for the first appointment. So we went, and I did not love this pediatrician. You just find pediatricians that you either vibe with or you don't, and I just was not. And she was just very like blunt and cold about everything. And like my baby had just gotten out of the NICU, I had just given birth, like I was very sensitive to everything. And she takes one look at his head and says, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. We're going to have to see, he may have to have surgery on his head. And I'm just like, I mean, he was a week old. He was just this tiny little baby. And I'm like, what's happening? And she said, I can probably find some pictures that show it in some way. He had a very prominent line across his head this way as well as this way. And I have seen so many babies, Remy had it. I've seen so many babies that have that shortly after they're born. And I never thought that it was anything to ever be concerned about. And she said, yeah, you know, it can be a problem. The plates in their head can fuse together. She said that he had a very small, soft spot on the front and the back of his head. So anyways, needless to say, I left the appointment, I called Derek sobbing. I was so upset. And I mean, nobody wants to hear that your baby might have to have surgery. Plus, it was just like after everything that we had been through, like we finally made it out of the NICU and we were like going back to normal life, and then they dropped that on us. So I was really upset for a couple of days. And so she said, you know, at his 2-week appointment, we'll have a better idea of whether he needs to be seen by a specialist or not. So fast forward to the 2 weeks, I scheduled an appointment with our old pediatrician. I said, if we're gonna go through something like this, I need to have someone that I can trust. And not that I didn't trust what she said, but I just didn't have that relationship with her. I didn't have any trust built with her yet. And so I went to our old pediatrician, and she said, you know, I don't know, maybe, probably not, but you know, we'll keep an eye on it, but don't worry about it. So I tried not to worry about it. Got to the 1-month appointment, and I took him in, and she said, no, we need to get an x-ray of his head. She had me sit down with a woman in her office who had 2 kids so they are concerned, or were concerned, that he had Let me see. I wrote it down on the floor so I could read it. Where is it? Craniosynostosis, I believe is how you say it. And she said, you know, I really am concerned that that is what he has. His head grew, but not the amount that they wanted it to grow in that first month. And so I called right away and was able to schedule the x-ray. I believe it was the next day. It was within a few days. Which I was so grateful for. So I took him in. At this point, I knew nothing about it. In hindsight, I don't believe that an x-ray was ever going to tell us anything. It came up inconclusive. They couldn't decide whether he had it or not, which like just made me more anxious because I kept telling Derek, well, if he didn't have it, they would have just said no, that it was clear. If he didn't have it, they can't see enough to say for sure that he does have it, but he must have it. And they called and said, you know, it's inconclusive. We're gonna have to schedule a CT scan. And I posted on Instagram, and from the mamas who have had babies who have had a similar experience, it seems like a CT scan is normally the way that they go. So I don't know if that was like a bad call or if that's what everybody goes through. But it seems like CT scans are what have to be used to diagnose it. I think we had to wait about a week, maybe a little bit more, for his CT scan, and I was just beside myself that whole entire week. I was so grateful that it was something that would not necessarily cause harm to him. Like, as long as you have the surgery and you fix it, there's not a whole lot to worry about with it. And so I was so grateful that it wasn't something that was like going to be impacting on his life or his livelihood or anything like that. Because I know a lot of people are not as fortunate with that. But I still had a lot of anxiety, and it was like helpful to talk to someone who had been through it with her kids, but also not, because then it just feels very real, because then you're getting like real answers to questions instead of the vague answers that Google gives you. So we made it to the CT scan. I want to say almost a week to get the results back. They told us 48 hours, but for some reason they weren't. I don't know, something happened with our CT scan and it got like lost somewhere. So finally they called and they said, we do not see signs necessarily of this craniosynostosis. So for now, we're going to say just keep an eye on it, which I am so grateful for. He has had 2 additional appointments since then, and his head has been growing great. There is only this one little spot right here in the front that kind of dips down a little bit, but they're not necessarily concerned about that. They can still feel his tiny little soft spot. They said if that ever closed, that would be a very big, you know, worry. We would have to repeat the CT scan. But his pediatrician said most of the time, if the CT scan comes back clear, it is not likely that it's then going to fuse together. So they would have had to go in and break whatever plates had been fused on his head, and then he would have had to wear a helmet for a while to kind of help reshape his head. The woman that I talked to actually had it herself, and she had a very significant kind of dip in her forehead because they didn't catch it until she was a year old. So she kept reiterating, like, it's so great that, you know, they're checking him out now instead of waiting. So yeah, I hope that we are in the clear. I hope that, you know, we are meticulous about, you know, making sure that we, you know, take note of his head, that we are, you know, seeing if there's any changes, and we are, you know, always right on time with his doctor's appointments to make sure that they, you know, measure it and think that everything is good. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, that is not something that we have to deal with. Anyways, that was kind of our biggest like life event with him so far. He is enjoying tummy time more now. He is pushing kind of himself up on his chest and looking around and grabbing toys. Like, he's really, really good with his like pincher grasp and I don't know, just being able to like see things and grab them right away. I feel like Remy took longer. He was kind of more of like a vague grabber and just like eventually got it. So yeah, he is, I don't know, Remy was crawling at like 5.5 months. I don't think that he is going to be. I guess he could blow us out of the water and shock us because he also wasn't rolling over a couple of weeks ago, and now he rolls constantly. So it could change like literally overnight. He is so stinking precious. I hear people say this all the time about their third babies, that they're just so quiet and calm and happy, and he just, like, we call him our smile boy because he is just, he's constantly smiling all the time. We were given the green light to start purees at his 4-month appointment. I am not necessarily ready. We did baby-led weaning. Oh my gosh. Ellie just pushed one of her plastic cars down the driveway. We have a very hilly driveway, a very long hill of a driveway. And Ellie just went over and pushed it down the driveway and Derek had to run after it. We did strictly baby-led weaning with Eloise and she did really, really well with it. Remy, because of his feeding issues and his allergy, he was a no-go with that. Although he did do better, has done better with baby-led weaning than purees. So when we got the green light to start purees at 4 months, I personally, no shade against anybody else who starts purees at 4 months, I just think that it's a little bit early for my kids, and so I have not done that with any of them. We will start doing more foods at some point, probably more around the 6-month mark, so we've got about a month left to go. And we also just have a lot of stuff going on now. We're trying to potty train Eloise, we're trying to get Remy off of formula. And so that is not like a hot topic on my list. I don't really feel like it needs to take a huge priority. So yeah, like I said, his napping, he naps pretty well. He takes a nap in the morning around 9 o'clock. He wakes up anywhere between 6 and 7:30. A lot of the boys' rooms back up to each other, and a lot of times one of them will wake up and then wake the other one up. What are you looking at? We're sitting in the playroom. Hi. Oh, my sugar boy. He is just the sweetest little pumpkin boy, aren't you? Oh. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But anyways, we will see you soon. Bye. Say bye.